Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather next 8 to 10 days in today's video, which is going to take us to around the 1st of May. So we're almost going to be leaving April behind with this update going into the final month of the spring. So we've got this cold weather coming up over the weekend and next week. Been talking about it for several days now, particularly through the early and middle part of next week. I think that's when we're going to be at the peak of the cold conditions. But weekend will be a lot cooler, and there could be some wintry conditions around as well, because it's London Marathon on Sunday, and that possibly could have some wintry showers included in it. But I think the core of the cold air is going to be coming down Monday through to Wednesday. And that's when the greatest risk of some very late season wintry conditions is going to be. There's going to be night frost coming up over the next few nights from the weekend and on into next week as well. So you will have to cover up those tender plants. And your fruit blossom is going to take us beyond that, though, into the final days of April, as I say. And we go up into the bank holiday weekend with this, and we'll have a detailed look at the bank holiday weekend this evening. That'll be coming up this evening, the 3rd May Day bank holiday weekend update. This will take us just about into that bank holiday weekend, though. So I'll share all the detail in a second on what's happening, but if I get on with that, just very quickly to say about the ads at Gasworth Business. Links to articles on all the pages. Have a browse through widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. Thanks so much for doing that. This video adds to most of the pages which open up for content when you watch them. They'll close back up again. It helps to pay for GasworthBusiness.com. So thanks so much for getting involved. And thanks for doing that. Going to start off with the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts of the GFS and ECM for the next 8 to 10 days time. We've got the ECM on the top, and the GFS, which we'll have a look at in detail in a second, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet, is an area in the atmosphere with high pressure, low pressure, being moved around by jet stream running above. Red extrapolates high pressure, blue to low pressure. So for the next week to 10 days, we see we've got quite a lot of blocking here over top of the pole. That's never a very good sign. Well, it's a good sign if you want cold weather. It's never a very good sign in spring and summer if you're hoping for warm and dry conditions. So we've got all of the red up there over the pole, a trough of low pressure underneath it. That's got a lot of cold air entrenched within it. That's the trough that's going to be giving us pretty cold conditions over the weekend and on into next week. But by the time we get through to 8 to 10 days away, which is taking us virtually to the end of April and start of May, we're beginning to see pressure rising in the central part of the Atlantic. So it looks like the flow is actually starting to revert a little bit more to the west. It's still chilly, this, but maybe just signs to get through to around day 8, day 9, day 10. We might start to see the flow becoming a little bit more Atlantic based and slightly less cold as well. However, the GFS, that doesn't really show this. It shows a lot of blocking over the top of the pole again, so loads of red up there. That's a big blocking feature. And then we've still got this trough very close to the UK, and it looks like essentially the jet stream is still going a really long way south, with that doing something like that sort of movement. We're still under really quite a cold trough there, very cold trough, with all of the air from the Arctic being pumped out into that trough via the blocking. So the GFS still places us into a very cold and blocked scenario, even up to day 8 to 10, whereas the ECMWF is trying to revert things a little bit more back towards the west. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average. So we're well above average at the moment, but essentially from now it's downhill all the way. Look at that very big drop in the temperature taking place over the next 2 or 3 days. We're going to see something like a 15 degree, maybe more than a 15 degree temperature drop there. That's a very significant drop in temperatures coming up from here to around here. And then when that takes place, from then onwards, it looks like we're going to stay cooler than average or colder than average through the course of next week. Signs as you get through to the end of April and start of May. This is May the 1st, just here, first week of May. There. Signs that we're going a little bit less cold, temperature starting to pick up, but even then, still generally trending below the red line, which is the 30-year temperature average. You notice these very warm outliers that we've got just here. We've got one or two just there, and then this one over here. And that thick green one that you see just there, that represents the GFS operational run, which I'm going to show you in a second from the midnight run of the GFS model. That did turn very warm at the end of the run into the first week of May. But you see that it isn't really supported at all by the ensembles. Generally, they are staying bit below average as we go through into the first week of May. Precipitation, well, we've got rainfall coming up over the next 24 hours associated with this drop in the temperature, particularly for the south. And then after that, it's just a case of wintry showers, I think, going through April inside of May. There are precipitation spikes going through. Not a desperately wet situation by any means. You wouldn't expect it to be desperately wet because the air is going to be quite cold, so it's always a bit drier when the air is cold. But there will be showers, and some of those could be wintry. We'll know more as we get into weekend and start of next week exactly where the wintry potential is. But of course, at this time of year, it's always going to be most likely to be snowing over Scotland and across high ground such as the Scottish Mountains, the Pennines, Welsh Mountains, places like that. But don't rule out the chance of seeing some sleet or snow, probably almost certainly not amounting to very much, but some sleet or snow down on lower levels. Now look at the temperature anomalies for the coming week. It's going from the 21st through to 29th of April, and it really is significantly colder than average. It's been a long time since we've seen such a cold temperature anomaly on these charts, but in those deep blue colours there. So we're looking at temperature anomalies through the spine of the UK, probably between around 4 and 6 degrees below average. Central parts of Europe, around Germany, down into eastern France, there we're going close to 6 to 8 degrees below average. Scandinavia, even colder, going almost down to 10 degrees below average for parts of Norway. So a really cold spell for the time of year coming up. The precipitation anomaly, that's still generally trending a little bit drier than average, but it has turned a bit wetter on these charts, actually, but still generally coming out slightly drier than average. There will be precipitation with these cold northerly winds, but it won't be copiously wet by any means. So here's the generic charts, and we start off on Sunday with the GFS model. And that is showing that we start to bring down those northerly winds. So tomorrow we'll feel the chill from the east. That'll stay with us into the weekend. And the winds will gradually turn northerly. It still isn't a desperately cold northerly by any means, but it certainly is fairly chilly. As we go through into the start of next week, that's when we really pull down those northerly winds. We tighten the gradient between this blocking feature that's sitting around Greenland and Iceland and the trough over Scandinavia. Notice the isobars are tightening. As you follow them back, they're going a long way north. The air is originating from the Arctic, coming down into the UK. So it's really Monday that we start to tighten the gradients, and we'll feel that very cold northerly wind setting in. That low pressure slips down the North Sea as we go through into Tuesday. That could bring longer spells of rain, sleet or snow onto the eastern side of the country on Tuesday, with those northerly winds pulling the very coldest of the air out of the Arctic. So daytime temperatures on Tuesday will be down in single figures pretty much everywhere. The south probably somewhere around 7 to 9. The north, Scotland, maybe no better, but around 4 to 6. It really will be highly unusually cold for the end of April. And that takes us through into the middle part of the week as well. Winds going a little bit more northeasterly, so that could change the distribution of the wintry showers into perhaps parts of East Anglia, South East England. But again, I have to emphasise, we will know much more when we get closer to this, exactly where the greatest wintry potential is going to be. But always over high ground, always in the north. At this time of year, it will have the greatest risk of sleet or snow there. Much less snow, much less so in terms of snow on lower ground. The northerlies stay with us into the second half of next week, so this is being extended out a little bit. Staying cold into Thursday. Remember, significant night frost continuing through this period as well. And then go up into Friday and Saturday. It's staying chilly, but the ridge is starting to show signs of moving in over the country, and I can show you that the end of the GFS midnight run, this is it. This is for 384 hours away, which takes us to Thursday the 5th of May, and by then it's all switched around. Look at that. The ridge has built up from the south. The jet stream has pushed northwards. The black line is the jet stream, so that's to the north of the UK. And all of the blocking has gone. We've just got low pressure up to the north, and this is allowing very warm air to pump up out of the tropics. So the temperatures with that come out somewhere close to, the upper air temperature come out above 10 Celsius, between 10 and 15 Celsius, and the surface temperatures, they were coming out around 20 degrees, something like that. But as we saw on the ensemble, it isn't well supported, or it wasn't well supported. It was this ensemble member just here, this thick green line, so pretty much on its own, although earlier on there were a few warm outliers as well, but pretty much on its own in terms of what it was doing there at the end of that particular GFS run. But certainly warm southerly winds pushing up there by the 7th of May. And just to show you how quickly things can turn around. It probably won't pan out like that, but it does show you how quickly things can switch, particularly at this time of year, which is always a changeable time anyway, as we transition from winter to summer. Finally, have a look at the ECMWF. So there's the northerly wind coming down across the country on Monday. We tighten the gradients through Tuesday. Again, follow the isobars back. The air is originating from a very, very long way north, somewhere up here, pushing down across the country. So very cold air for the time of year, plunging across the country early next week. It stays cold into Wednesday and into Thursday. Eventually this ridge starts to slip down over the country by the end of next week. There's probably some sort of weather system in there. See it from the elevation in the isobars, something going something a bit like that. So that's quite cold air. So even at the end of next week, there could be some wintry conditions as that milder air starts to push in to the colder air, and again, most likely over the highest ground of Scotland. We end up on day 10, certainly the 1st of May, with the ridge starting to build in across the country. So that potentially looks quite okay, quite good for the bank holiday weekend. Very long way off though, 10 days away. It might be breaking down the northern blocking too quickly. We will have a look at the May Day bank holiday weekend again this evening in depth. So that's how it's looking. We've got these northerly winds definitely setting in over the next few days. The temperatures are downhill all the way from today onwards, really. So there's still plenty of bright weather and quite warm conditions this afternoon. Do get out and make the most of it, because tomorrow you'll feel the chill as that easy wind picks up, and then it's just a case of watching the temperatures gradually dropping day by day over the weekend into next week. It's going to turn increasingly cold. There'll be significant, this is probably the main point of this. I'm not sure it can be all that much snow away from elevation. We'll have to wait and see on that, but the main point through early next week is going to be the frost. With very late into the year now, it will do damage, I think, particularly to fruit blossom, but also to tender plants if they're not covered up. So significant late season damaging frost early next week. Some wintry potential, and we'll know more as we get into weekend and start next week where the greatest risk of that wintry potential is. And it's just going to be very cold, usually cold for the time of the year. By the time we get through to bank holiday weekend, we may start to lose that cold weather and begin to turn things a bit warmer. That's how it's looking. We'll do a bank holiday update tonight. And say tomorrow it's JMA Friday, looking at the month ahead. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.